Hello, welcome to Sam and Carl Talk Movies. This is where Sam and Carl talk about films and movies and moving images from the picture house.
The talkies.
They are talkies now. Good, since it's good that we got that new and coloured movies as well. That's all good.
Careful.
And today is about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But before that, if you haven't already, please give us a subscribe. Sorry, we haven't missed a week. We were here last week. It's the week before we missed. Back in the Guardians today. We both watched it on Friday-ish, I think. And so we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But subscribe, like, and share and all that. But importantly, the big red button says subscribe on it. Click it, because I'll make an effort after this to have a floating little subscribe thing come up and it'll click about now. So I've done that. You press that. It's free. It's been lazy.
Whatever it is, just click that.
Press anything positive and comment and all that stuff is all good. So yeah, do that as well, because I won't read it, but just make a comment. You know,
me and Carl spent many years of our lives being haters, so it's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
if you feel it that way,
I won't read comments and I won't react to it, and I won't even like it. I don't care, but comment anyway, because then we'll pretend we'll read it after, and it's all nice. You can say what you like. You can accuse us of killing family members, and it's all fine. I'll just like it and go, yeah, I did that.
I hadn't eaten natural fruit and nut bar before this, and it's a bit toothy. So if you see,
no, I get that. Yeah, I ate a few hours ago. Actually, do you know the last thing that I ate a minute ago before we get into Guardians of the Galaxy 3? The last thing I did was go into the fridge and peel out a singular Dairy Lee slice of burger cheese and eat that. Just like,
you dirty bastard.
It's all that was in there to snack. Do you know when you haven't got anything to snack on? It's like I've made food and I've got that, and I was like, well, that's the only thing that I could physically snack on, so I just did it, and I did it twice the other day. But it's all good.
It's torrid. Also, a slice, not even a little triangle. A slice.
No, but this was from the cheeseburgers that I made the other day, and that's the best. It's the best cheese to get for cheeseburgers. I haven't done it for years. I've done it for years.
Double cheeses.
I made two singles the other day in the end, and then. But the way this melts on burgers is absolutely perfect, and I've not done it for years. So yeah, that's why I did it, and that's why I had the snacks in the fridge today, and I need to go out and get some food after this. So, but yeah,
apologies for the lighting as well. Looks like don't know what's going on, but it's not going well.
Yeah, you're normally better lit than that. You've normally got a light, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a light, but it's not doing anything. I don't really know why. It's
maybe you in. Yeah, I can see the reflection of a light off the side of one of your glasses, but it's not. No, it's not. Well, that's kind of, but
yeah, I can't put it any more on me because I'll be blind. So
it is weird. I don't know what's going on. There's a light on you, and you don't look lit. So
no, I look. In fact, it looks worse, I think. But I'm not going to stand up now because we're, in this.
I'm in joggers with dubious stains on them, so I'm definitely not going to stand up. But I might go to the gym in them after this, or I might go out for a run. I haven't decided which one yet, but I'll do whatever directly after this. Fueled by Dairy Lee cheese.
Okay, and take them off.
No, what you do if you're stained, it's literally all I've got.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If they're stained, what you do, you get cold water and you rub it in just before you go anywhere public, and then it's wet, but the stain's temporarily gone at least.
So you've either pissed yourself or jizzed on yourself.
One of them, yeah. But I have been to the gym like it before as well. But it's just like what it is. Don't look. You won't be upset. You know.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Carl.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, yeah. Finally got to see it. I think it's officially opening day, but you know what films are like these days. Open 2 or 3 days before. But went out and got went out Friday finally. It was very nice. Enjoyed it. I think we both saw it the same day. So I don't know what you want to start with. We could say it was a $250 million budget. It's already pulled in over $500 million. It's only been a week and a half, so it's probably going to hit that billy, which will be a very good return and probably a good expectation, because I think it would have been good if it hit 600 million, but I think it's going to smash through it.
Quite a long run time though, right?
Quite a long run time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours, but it's what you would expect from, I think, an epic movie now, like a closer of a trilogy.
Yeah, well,
expect that now, I think.
That's it. It's the close of this bunch of characters for this franchise, isn't it?
This bunch of characters, this one's franchise. It's the last, and I think it was I liked it overall. First of all, we can get into lots of details, but I think it was a good way to finish it off. And to be honest, a lot of Marvel products recently, in my opinion, have gone downhill in quality, and I think this was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a bit long, but you know what? I think it needed to be. I was thinking, how could you make it any shorter? I think it was very nice, very epic. You've got lots of little backstories. You've got good action, comedy. It looks good. It's entertaining. I don't know.
I'm starting off sounding like I'm saying it, but it's probably the best Marvel movie in, I don't know, nearly a decade. Probably it's like.
Well, I don't know about Teddy. I've enjoyed a few of them. I like the last two Avengers. I thought they were very good. I like this. I didn't go to the cinema to see it, but I like the Shang-Chi and the Rings, the 10 Rings. That was enjoyable. It wasn't right up there, but I did like it. But a lot of the phase. What phase are we in now? 3, 4?
3 or 4. I think it's 4 technically. But this is like the remnants of 3.
The end of 4. Okay. So, I mean, what they fell into, I think, was getting, because you forget how good the early ones were. They were all special, and they were like 2 or 3 would come out over an 18-month period, and that was it. And then they started putting 5 out a year. There's TV shows, and I think with great quality comes reduced quality sometimes if you don't keep an eye on it. And I think it happened with some of these TV shows that they churned out, and some of the films weren't as good. I didn't really like Doctor Strange. I didn't really like. I can't even remember what's come out the last couple of years, but a lot of them are like, oh, come on, you could be a bit better. But it was I think it's nice. I like James Gunn anyway, and this trilogy has always been good. It's nearly 10 years ago when the first one came out. I think it was 2014.
I mean, you can see they were looking a bit older, right?
Particularly and it was
Chris Pratt.
It was a surprise hit at the time as well. No one expected it to do well. Particularly, they were like, oh, it's going to be a fun thing with this bunch of characters that no one really knows. And it did pretty well.
It's always had better comedy than the other ones, hasn't it? It's like got a good soundtrack. It's a thing that appeals to kids and adults. It's like
it's just done really well. And I think in this one as well, I think the soundtrack was still great. There were still some great songs for some nice moments in there, and it was action packed. The action was good. It was emotional. It had a great backstory of Rocket. Phenomenal. I didn't even know anything about the film. I didn't look at any of what it's going to be about. I just saw a couple of trailers and went in. But I think it was really well done. And I like the comedy. I like where they're doing something serious and then there's a joke about, radios or whatnot. It's funny.
Going back to what you said, I don't think these films would have been anywhere near as good if it wasn't for James Gunn. He sets the tone. He makes the he's a very good filmmaker. He does a TV show called. He's gone to DC now, isn't he? He's going to be the head up the DC.
Yeah, he's already written Superman. But he's.
I believe this film was mired in a bit of controversy because he said something that was cancelable or whatever.
Oh, he got fired. Marvel fired.
And then I believe Dave Bautista and Chris Pratt said they wouldn't do the film. He was, taken away. So. They kind of handcuffed.
I think
Marvel into someone making a choice, which is
I don't remember what it was, but I think they dug up old tweets like from years ago. Yeah, and they just went, well, James Gunn said this in 2011. Is that okay? And then they fired him out of a panic. And then thankfully, the actors just went, oh no, we're not even going to work for you anymore unless you bring him back. Silly. And he came back. It's taken years to get him in, but. Yeah, obviously he's at DC
now. They released him from that contract. Because they released him from that contract, he went to DC, right, and did. So I think
like it's he's got given a really good. He's got basically Kevin Feige's role at DC now.
But if there was anyone that you didn't want to go to DC because they've been failing for years, it's probably James Gunn. And with the Peacemaker movie that was DC, the series that's really good. He's the writer and director of that.
Suicide Squad, he came in to do that for him as a one-off as well.
Which is 100 times better than the first one. Like, he's the guy that they don't want competing, but they've made a mistake.
But he's also he's also thinking about it. He's really, because you think of someone like Zack Snyder, right? And I think he probably does get criticized a bit too much, but his films are always visually great. They're pretty good, but there's always something that goes off with some of the Snyder films. Gunn's a good director. He's a good writer. And he understands comedy, action, and visually stuff looks really good, like the colors, just the colors of where There's a shot where they're approaching the headquarters, where it's like an alive, organic, big, weird thing in space. Yeah. And it just looks great when they're flying into it. And then when they're stood on it in the coloured suits, it just looks great. And then inside, the security is all wearing tardigrade, weird tardigrade suits and stuff. It just it's just so silly and ridiculous, but serious at the same time. It's just so well done.
It's it's an absurd movie, but like a grounded absurd movie. Good performances by everyone. I think Dave Bautista, probably the greatest wrestler turned actor of all time, right? I mean,
he's not got a lot of good competition, if we're honest, are we? And I only really know The Rock, who's awful. So
The Rock, John Cena, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but
yeah.
I forgot Hogan. I forgot. Yeah, but he's
But I'm saying the best actor, Dave Bautista.
Yeah,
he's definitely the one. And I've seen him in a few things where
Rock just sits on the stairmaster thinking about going home when he's like strangling chickens or something when he's not on camera, going, "Look at me up at 4." I don't know, but
yeah,
Bautista, well, whatever his accent, I don't care. I don't care about The Rock.
Not that.
Your pecs have been done, and you know it. Right, but Bautista is good. He's got better through the series. I think he's just, even in all the Drax makeup and stuff, it's good acting. It's good. Karen Gillan's really good as Nebula as well. I thought she had some really good bits in there where she's portraying like emotion through the cyborg blue thing, which is probably quite difficult.
Yeah.
Rocket, also, the animation. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say Rocket actually. Weirdly, an animation thing, putting a good performance.
Phenomenal.
In, obviously, Bradley Cooper's the voice, right?
And the effects are great. And there's a scene, without spoiling stuff, where he's flying away from something at some point, and it's just his face. It's like, it's the emotion so good on all the animation. He's happy and sad and crying. But he just like, how are you making a little raccoon thing look cute and emotional, and you're into the story without it being ridiculous? It's a raccoon with guns who fly spaceships. It's stupid. But it's good.
It is ridiculous that they pulled it off. And they've got the dog, that is basically a dog but can move things with its mind and do whatever.
Is it Cosmo? He's like Russian cosmonaut dog or something.
Yeah, and that guy calls him a bad dog, and he harps on.
There's a great
movie, and
it's great. I love that. Like that. He's like, please tell me I'm a good dog. He goes, no.
When they're all sat around playing poker, and he's like, and you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't have guessed what he called me next. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, Cosmo. We've had enough of this. But the one thing I will say about this movie that separates it from all the other Marvel things, all the Guardians of the Galaxy, all like whatever, this is the darkest kids film I've seen in a very, very long time. It got a 12 rating, and I think it could have been higher. It was... The content for kids must be horrific. Like the animal.
There's a little cute bunny spider thing, and he's like, and it's kind of, they do all that kid stuff because that part of it is like a kids film, right? Where they're all like, my name's they're all making friends in the little cage and stuff.
But it's dark,
and then and then we won't say what happens, but dark things happen in that place. It's basically, it covers Rocket's backstory in parallel to the main plot. The plot, we should start with maybe the plot. A weird Superman-like thing comes along, tries to kill everyone, kills Rocket. It's in the first scene. It's not a spoiler. And then the movie's about saving Rocket, and it's about his backstory. And it was done the way it was all done together. But those cute little, because you get into it as well. I was a bit emotional in it. I was like, oh, that's nice.
I teared up. I haven't teared up in a film for years.
I did a bit, to be honest.
And there was
twice near the end and around that middle bit. And I did the thing where I got up at the end. They put the lights on. I was like, "Oh, where's the popcorn? Where's my minstrel wrap? I need to pick that up."
I didn't stay for the end credits just because I had to get out there so no one could see me.
I stayed for the, but I was fine by then. But I did stay for the lot. It was they had a couple of they had two scenes in there. Good, interesting.
Chris Pratt played the whole thing very well as well. I think he probably doesn't get talked about enough because obviously it's like he's not the main plot in this, right? There's like a subplot with him about not dealing with his issues and having to.
Well, the way they do it,
not being together, and
the way they do it with the plot, because there's a line in it. Oh, Rocket, it's been your story or whatever. But the way now you can think about it is the whole trilogy is about Rocket, whereas you thought it was about Star-Lord. But Chris Pratt's really good in all three. He's funny. I don't know. He's just good. He's just good. He doesn't get talked about enough. You're right.
It looks like, because everyone knows, again, this isn't spoiler. This is the last version of this cast that are doing these movies. Looks like Rocket will be the leader, right, going forward of these things. There's
a couple of cutscenes. One of them deals with what the next iteration of A Guardians might be, and one of them deals with potentially what would happen to Star-Lord, or what that's the bit at the end that you might not have seen. But I'll tell you about that after this. But it's I think we'll see more of these characters in different ways. I think in different movies. Hopefully they'll do more from this world. I think they definitely will. It's too popular. It's going to make too much money for them not to now. But obviously, it probably won't be from James Gunn, so we'll have to. It's going to be different, but.
Well, it won't be. I mean, that's already been said, right? He's done. I know that Chris Pratt said that he will do more. Dave Bautista says he won't. What's the name? The one that plays Gamora.
Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana. She won't be a part of it, apparently. So, I mean, like, I don't really get it. The people that are saying they're done with it and stuff like that. Like, never say never, because they're going to throw some money at you at some point, and
it's happened. It's happened with Star Wars recently, right? So there's a couple of cast members that said they'd never do any stuff, and they're coming back. So,
okay, doesn't surprise me.
So from a whole bucket load of cash, just going. If I give you $50 million, will you come back?
Yeah, I'll be there. Send the contract.
Sure, anything, whatever. I'll ruin my legacy. But I don't know. I think some of them might.
I was just going to give more of a plotline outline, really. Like the Superman thing starts at the beginning, but there's like a dark overlord, I guess the Darth Vader of this.
So he's
whatever,
the
evil guy,
the High Evolutionary.
That guy
played, and I'm going to attempt the name. I'm going to attempt the actor's name, Chukwudi Iwuji. Or Chukwudi Iwuji, right? I would never remember that. I just, I think that's how you say it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, very good. Plays a genius like creator.
Yeah.
He's like after creating this perfect universe, but really he's a bit of a psychopath. I'm not going to go into more because it will give too much away. But
I think
it's like he's obviously the enemy. You know that. But really well played by him. Really well played by his little minions as well.
Good, great cast, and he was a good villain because this is people don't realize a lot of Marvel villains they're just not very good villains.
Yeah.
Obviously, Thanos was a great villain, but a lot of those, even in the good films like Civil War and whatnot, the villain's awful. What a German scientist who's a bit nasty, and then he just gets beaten up. Yeah. DC have always had great villains. I mean, they can be done in silly ways and good ways, but Marvel's always struggled with really good villains. But apart from people like Thanos, but High Evolutionary, I'm not that much of a nerd. I didn't know that much about him, but I think he's really good character and played really well. Yeah.
It was, I think. But like going back to the dark thing about it, like even the imagery, the lighting of certain things, like I know it's CGI mainly, but like it was very, very dark overtoned. In terms of what the story is. Again, I can't really go into too much because it just gives too much away. But there are scenes of like literal animal cruelty. There's death, misery. Like there's a bit that made me highly emotional in the middle where they think something's happened and it hasn't, and it's like as a kid I was thinking to myself, because I went at 11:30 on a Friday morning, and it was full of adults, right? A few teenagers down in the front row who'd obviously not gone to school, whatever, fine, living the dream, but we're all adults and we're all there, taking time out of the day to go and see it. I'm thinking, there's no kids here, right? But if I was a kid watching this film, I would be horrified, truly traumatized.
One of my favorite moments in the cinema is watching, I think, the last Avengers, whatever it was called, was it Infinity War? And then Endgame, So Infinity War.
Endgame was
basically Spider-Man gets fucking dissipated right in the snap. He's like, Iron Man can't save him. There was a child in that cinema. I just went, yes. He was like, no, like just this one, like Spider-Man, like dealing with death for the first time.
Horrible man laughing at him.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah, like, but it's worse than that in this film.
But yeah, there's gonna be because there's a bunch of characters that you get into that you kind of follow their story, and it's a bit silly, but you're like, oh yeah, now I'm getting it. You're getting into it a little bit. They're all cute and everything. But yeah, there's going to be scenes in this that definitely upset kids. I think some kids are way more desensitized than we were at that age, though. But I still think it's going to upset a lot of kids.
Maybe, but like it's a 12A, right? Which means that if you're any age as an adult goes with you, so there's going to be plenty of kids
like
that are like,
7.
We've got to go see.
Yeah, because this kid in Avengers sounded like he was about 7 or 8. And he's just watching his hero die on screen. Like,
this is horrifying. This movie, like, it's a horror movie for a 7 or 8-year-old. This movie, like, But I think it's difficult, right? Because they can't give it a rating above it, or they're not going to make the money.
Yeah,
like they can't go to 15.
But it was done. It was done. I think. The ideas of it are quite. But obviously, they don't show too much of that stuff. It's a lot of it's done off camera, and then you see the consequences and stuff. But you don't see. It's hard to talk about, but you don't see like some things happening. You see the aftermath of it, which is also a little bit dark, I guess. But I think it was done that way specifically just to push everything and get around it going up to the next. It's pushing it. Yeah. It's definitely pushing it, but it's
definitely pushing it, and it's
definitely. But that's how good. Good Lord. That's how good James Gunn is, though. It's just getting it to that point where you can like, and I'm sure he's got a good relationship with people. But you know, these studios will maybe yet to cut some stuff. I don't know anything about it. I haven't had any back scenes. One trick that people do that some filmmakers have done is you do a scene that's so bad that you know that it's going to get cut, and then you negotiate. Tarantino's done it a lot, I think. So you put something in that's really fucked up. You know they're going to cut it, and then but you go to them and negotiate. You go, okay, well, this is too much. But why don't I'm going to take this scene out? I'll take this scene out, but I really want to keep this. But they're really scenes that you thought would never get in anyway. You just use it as a bargaining
chip. That one's bad. Don't worry, we've got a backup here. It's nowhere near as bad, but it is still horrifying to children.
Yeah,
don't
worry, try and justify
that in. But... Yeah, it's. I just thought. I really enjoyed the movie, and it's going to get. I'll be honest, it's going to get a high score compared to most Marvel. Most Marvel films for me are like a 6. You know, it's one of those.
Well, I enjoy. I'll have to go back through them all, but I really enjoyed a lot of the early ones. The first 4 or 5 that came out, I really liked them. I like the Avengers movies; they're very good. I think I like the Spider-Man trilogy, but it never quite got brilliant to me. I thought they were enjoyable.
One with Tom Holland.
Each one. Yeah,
I
like it, but I just don't like. It's just not brilliant for me. The thing, like the first one, I didn't really like, but I loved Michael Keaton, so it was kind of I was like, yeah, Keaton, you know, doing all that stuff. I thought the third one was very good, the one they did recently.
Speaking of old people in Marvel films, though, Sylvester Stallone, right?
I forgot
the woodwork.
Yeah.
For a minute and a half of this entire 3 hours.
Well, he comes in. He's in 2 scenes, but yeah, he's great. He's great in it. You got to give it a bit of Stallone in there. I mean, great character. It's fun.
They might as well just CGI'd him in because his face looks the same as the CGI nowadays anyway, so it's not really a problem. But
to be honest,
he looks dreadful. It's just as bad as Courtney Cox in Scream 6. That was.
But even
that was the horror movie itself in that, but
even with
I thought.
Trying to find who played.
I can't really say much more about this.
So so the superhero guy and another one essentially worked for the High Evolutionary, but I can't find the actor, but his character was basically Adam.
Oh, Will Poulter.
Will Poulter, right? So there's a scene with him even at the beginning. Basically, the first scene, he just beats the shit out of all the Guardians and really fucks them up. But he does something quite nasty to Groot. It's like, Jesus, has Groot's been through enough?
Yeah. Oh, good Lord.
But then, Gunn being Gunny, the next scene is just Groot running around. It's like little spider legs. It's just
all fine.
Those funny moments in there. He's gonna be fine.
Groot says something more than I am Groot in this movie as well. Spoiler.
So we will spoil. Yeah.
But I won't tell you what he says. But I'm spoiling that for you.
Says a slur. No, he does. He does something. He does stop saying I am Groot for a while. But there's a joke in that as well with the new Gamora, because basically she doesn't remember. She's from the past or whatever. But
she's not.
Yeah,
she's not the real Gamora. It's different.
Yeah. But there's some good stuff with that, where on the radios on the surface of the thing, and he's trying to like tell how he feels, and then everyone's listening, and that was funny.
But again,
I like that she's harsh with it and just like, nah.
That's dark as well, though, right? The start of that story with him, where he's like down in the ditch and he's like, nothing is. That's a dark start to that storyline as well, and then that pivots to Rocket, and that's dark, and then you talk about Will Poulter being the Superman guy. You think he's just the comic relief idiot, whatever. His story turns a bit darker as well. The whole thing just starts piling on with misery and hatred and whatever, and it just
but there's so much comedy in it and fun, colourful visuals in it that it takes you out. Every time it gets really dark, there's a funny bit or there's some ridiculous thing happening. Even the action stuff where it's really serious. There's always funny parts of the fight scenes.
And then they go to the golf on this journey or whatever, and it's deadly serious and all running around. And I just remember, I don't know what the line was, but Chris Pratt makes a quip about someone who's been like, "What is wrong with you?" And it just all of a sudden the comedic tone takes over again, and it's all very, you're kind of engrossed in it, and you're then like, what's going on here? Like, I'm really into this. And then James Gunn seems to have that ability where it is literally you're so engrossed in this thing where you think, this is so serious, and he can just say one line and the whole thing turns back, and
but it works. The characters are funny. They're all good. They're all good, and they all interact with each other really well. And like, obviously, a Mantis actress is like Pom Klementieff. So sorry if that name's said wrong, but it's a difficult one for me. But they all interact with each other really well. Obviously, Vin Diesel voices Groot. I mean, most of the acting is done by the CGI, I'd say. So I don't know.
Yeah. Better actor than Vin
Well done, Vin Diesel, for getting a really good role and not having the ego that you need your face on something. So good.
I mean, they wouldn't let him. Looks worse than a tree. Speaking of leathery,
Will Poulter as Adam Warlock. Yeah,
that's it, Warlock. But I thought, I mean, there's not really much what we can say about this, because it goes into spoiler territory too much.
It is a long film with a really good plot, and it's about saving Rocket, but it's basically what you would expect from Guardians. I can't remember much about the second one, but I thought the second one wasn't quite as good as the first one, but this is brilliant, and I think as a trilogy now, when you look it back as a trilogy, it will make the whole thing really good.
I didn't like the second one particularly. It was okay. I didn't think much of it, and then they did a holiday special thing last year that was on Disney Plus. I watched that. That was dreadful. I mean,
I didn't see it. I think a lot of people liked it as well.
Together.
I didn't watch it.
I think kids liked it. I get that. It was,
Michael,
maybe I was in the mood. It's
Michael Rooker's character gets a bit of a mention where the guy he's training to use a whistle. I don't know. It's called the whistle spear thing.
Oh yeah, the whistle spear
it's got funny bits with that, and it's got a little bit of a mini story with
that
as well. And I think
his son, who's training to do that is James Gunn's brother in real life.
So that's his brother, because I knew he put his brother in there. That's right, and I think people are expecting him to stick him in the odd DC film as well, which is all good. Give him a bit of money, I say.
Yeah, why not? He's been struggling out for long enough. Let him get a bit of Doshino.
Obviously, there's currently a writer's strike, and there might be further strikes down the line from directors and actors. So it might impact a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline, but we'll see.
Just what we need after 2 years of COVID. We need a writer's strike now. That's what we need.
Yeah,
it's
not
because we were just coming out the back of that, and finally getting,
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that had impact, I think, are TV shows, because I remember the last one, which was the late 2000s, maybe 2009, could be 2010. I don't know, around about that sort of time, and it did affect TV. That cut TV series in half, but that was when they were filming like 23, 24 episode seasons. They've kind of stopped that now. But a lot of syndicated US shows used to be 22 episodes long. And I remember a couple of shows coming out where it's only 10 episodes this year, because we weren't allowed to write the rest.
And we're like, unbelievable. We're only going to get 10 episodes. That's how... But back then, entertainment was weekly, right? So it was a different thing. it wasn't. You didn't just have it all in one go where you could just sit through it and do whatever. It was literally you were waiting for half a year to watch this one thing that you just wanted to watch over and over again and do whatever. It was a different thing at different time.
I like that there's still some stuff they do with. They'll put 2 episodes out and they go, right, you're waiting for every Friday. I kind of like that there are some shows like that still, but yeah, for the most part, it's dumb. And if you want, you can watch it in a night.
Apple and Disney seem to do that very well. They seem to do it's going to come next week and whatever, and you got to wait for it. And the biggest hit on streaming over the last few years has probably been Ted Lasso worldwide, right? And that's a weekly thing and comes out into whatever. So I mean, yeah, I've kind of gone backwards and forwards on this recently, and I think I actually prefer the weekly thing. I think I prefer taking things in a shorter.
I like both. I can't binge like I used to. Although if a 4-part crime documentary comes on, sometimes I'll smash it in a night. But yeah, with like an 8-10 episode thing, I go back and forth on it as well. I'm not sure what I like, but there's too much stuff. If everything was just like weekly, I think every night you'd have 3 things to watch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's tough.
I think what's great about streaming, obviously, is that you can watch things that you've watched 12 times already, and you can just put it on the background if you're doing something or whatever, and it's just an easy life. But I kind of like. There was a TV show that came out recently called Beef. Got all this rave reviews. It was Stephen Yeun was in it and Ali Wong. I think it's Ali Wong. Good show, right? But everyone I knew binged it. They were like, "Oh, I've watched all 10 episodes in the last day, and this, that, and the other." I'm still on episode 8. Like, it's just.
Yeah, I can't.
It's only half an hour, but I just couldn't.
I know people that binge everything. So if something comes out, they've done it. Or even with the weekly stuff, sometimes I can't catch up. Like the Mandalorian stuff, I watched 3 on week 3 and then watched 5 on week 8. I couldn't. Week 8. No, I could. But everyone else I know and people online like, well, I've done it, and I'm like, fuck, don't spoil me on anything. Or The Last of Us. Yeah. I always get out of something for a few weeks as well. So I don't know what I think. I prefer having both. But yeah,
I just remember The Last of Us. That was so good, right? The Last of Us was so good that I'd wake up it was shown on Sunday nights. I'd wake up on Monday morning and watch it. Like it was like I would get up specifically.
Yeah, I didn't.
It was that good, and that's the first time in a long time I've done anything like that for a TV show. But that was so good, and but we won't go into that. Anyway, let's go to Guns again. See, let's talk about.
There's not much more to say unless you got other stuff to say. I mean, we can talk about other shit, but I just really like the film.
Well, normally we say if you're on the fence, right, go and see it. That's the kind of thing. I've got 2 things to say about this. If you've got small children, don't take them. It's horrifying.
Take them because you want the money to go out. Take them and don't let your kids grow up weak and they're like, "Oh, protect me from death until I'm 18." No, get your kids in there and get them watching it and hold their eyes open like this. And if I'm in a cinema and I hear one of your kids go,
awful,
no, I'll love it.
You're an awful man. You're an awful man. Awful man. But what I will say is, if you're sick and tired of the Marvel things and you've had enough and whatever,
it's a return to form for Marvel for sure.
Yeah, it's a fresh thing on it. Like for me, Marvel died when Black Panther came out. Controversial. Everyone loved it. For me, that was the moment it died because it was just a repeat of another movie they'd done a year before. Thor movie they'd done a year before. Like the storyline was almost exactly the same. It was just this repeated thing, and I kind of at that point I was like, I'm sick of this. I saw the Avengers movies. I gotta say, I didn't enjoy them really. I thought they were okay. I thought the last one, Endgame, was an hour too long. Like it was just things like that. But this,
I enjoy the Avengers movies. So we'll have a disagreement there. But I did enjoy the last 2. Yeah, they're not perfect, but I really like Infinity War actually.
I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the second one. Third one, I didn't enjoy as much. I was like, well, they've kind of just, done me over.
I liked it,
but
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I was just sick of the Marvel thing at that point. I think it was just.
I'll say that. Yeah, I didn't think Black Panther was as good as people were making it out to be.
Awful
for sure. I think it's all right, but I watched the second one recently on a plane, and that was bad. That was worse than the first one.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I watched it because I can't not. Do you know what I mean? I can't. I'll have to watch them at some point.
Black Panther spin-off called The Woman King or something as well.
I
mean,
don't know if
that's
it's
just
called that,
Queen,
but
right?
I'm trying to
That's
see
just
when
Queen.
stuff come out. Okay, so when Black Panther come out, I kind of enjoyed the first Doctor Strange, but it let me down on the second one's even worse, in my opinion. I did like Thor Ragnarok, the third one. I did enjoy that. That was funny.
Was that the one where he was fat?
Yes.
Okay, that was okay. It wasn't great.
I thought it was good. I thought it was better than the second one. But I do like the first one. I do like the first Thor. It's kind of that people don't think about those early ones. Even like the early Captain America, people don't remember those anymore. But I like the first one, and Civil War's good.
Yeah, that was with Iron Man, right? Yeah.
So yeah, because they did fall off a bit. You got Eternals. I really wanted Eternals to be good, but you know what? I've got to say, I did not. I thought it was pretty low quality.
Never watched it.
But Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, I liked it because I didn't expect it to be any good at all. I was like, this is going to be.
I did see that.
This is going to be awful. It's quite enjoyable.
It's okay. Yeah, it's a passable movie. It's not going to win any awards. It's not going to be setting the future on fire. It's just okay. It's good, you know. It's enjoyable.
And the Spider-Man trilogy said the third one. I like the third one. They did play on a lot of nostalgia in it, but I thought it was quite well done. And overall, it's all right.
Isn't that the one where they bring back all the other Spider-Men as well, the multiverse type?
Yes.
I saw a bit of that. It was good the way they'd done it. But yeah, it's I just kind of, for me, this movie is like a real return to form for Marvel, as in those movies we were talking about back then that were great and got you interested. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America's,
it's
first
definitely
Avengers.
good. Yeah, it's definitely
I
good.
thought it was
and
back at that point.
From what I understand, they're taking the foot off the pedal a bit in terms of they're going to reduce the quantity that they're putting out again, because I'm not into it that much, but there's a change of CEOs and ownership and all this. Kevin Feige wasn't as in control as he was, and it just got a bit manic. And as far as I understand, they're scaling it back down again to really try and pump the quality up, because I think we don't know, but I think we're probably going to see DC be something really different and pretty good in the next 5 years. I think it's going to be something really unique. James Gunn running the creative side, Peter Safran, I think, is the business side. And the movie, he's already written Superman Legacy, so that could have been affected by the writer's strike, but he's done it. The script is done.
Proof of concept that it can be good is the second Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. That is proof of concept that the DC universe can be something, and it's not with characters that you particularly.
Also, it's not going to be him. Right? It's not going to be him making all the films, but he's putting his hat on the line and directing. He's written and directing Superman because it's going to be the first one in 2 years' time. But he's going to have control over it. Yeah, this hasn't been cast yet. He had to, because unfortunately for Henry Cavill, he was rehired as Superman about a week before he was fired again.
I know. Yeah,
because Warner Brothers had some crazy stuff going on, basically. And then they decided, right, let's get James Gunn in, let's do this. And James Gunn decided, look, if we're going to do this, we better just do it. We better just redo it all. I would have liked to seen another Cavill Superman movie and to do it properly. But if you're going to get rid of the rest, leaving him around reminds you of all the other stuff, and it'll be a bit weird. So I understand why they're going to do it, and they're going to do a younger Superman, and be interesting.
I mean, but I suppose really, last thing is scores, right?
Let's do scores. I don't know. I'm gonna have to give it. Go on, you go.
I'm thinking, and do you know what? This really pisses me off as well, because the only one I've reviewed badly is Renfield, and that wasn't even that bad as the thing. But like, this for me is like, in terms of comic book movies, action, overall thing that you can watch over and over again, I'm probably going to give it a 7.8.
Okay,
maybe no. Yeah, 7.8. I'll give it 7.8. A little bit too long for me. Few bits missed the mark that I didn't really go into because, again, it's spoilers and stuff like that. Very dark overtone that I liked, but also was kind of like, God, I only came to enjoy the movie. I don't want to be crying on a Friday morning in the cinema. But yeah, it's to be expected. But 7.8. I think if I watch it again, I'll probably enjoy it more. I think there's things I missed maybe and stuff like that. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, 7.8.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The only thing that I was slightly thinking about was the runtime, but I never know what that is. Is it because I need a pee in the cinema? Do you know what I mean? I'm never quite sure. It is a little bit difficult. I am gonna give us a score forthwith. It's going to be higher than 7.8, because I thought you'd go higher than that as well. But the reason I'm doing it is because I was keeping a little track of what we were doing. I missed out the last one. I just want to compare against something so I can get a reference point. Did I give it the score? I didn't record the scores in it. Unbelievable. I thought it got a spreadsheet and everything. I'm going to give it higher. It's tough. I really enjoyed it, so it's going to be over 8 for me. I'm trying to remember what I gave Evil Dead Rise. Was it 8.4 or something, or 8.2? I'm going to give it.
Yeah, around that. I think I gave it an 8. Evil. What?
No, I don't know. I think we both gave it higher than 8. I enjoyed it more. There isn't much I can really fault with it. It is a bit long, but as it's so epic that I think it kind of needed to be about that length just to cover everything they wanted to cover. I don't know. It's hard. I've got to say,
the thing now as well. You know, they have to get someone out for the evening, right? It's not like you just go and watch a 90-minute film anymore, and it's a different thing now. But yeah.
Yeah, but I don't mind a long. I don't mind a 3.5, whatever, as long as it's good. I mean, I'm gonna give it an 8.4. I liked it, but I think it is also because I think it's now going to make me want to watch the trilogy. I think in a few months' time, I'll probably sit down and watch the 3 of them over a weekend, and I think it's going to make me think about the trilogy as a different thing. Because I always loved the first one anyway. It's cool. It was unexpected. The soundtrack is just great. It said the second one was a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I think I'm going to watch the first one again this weekend. I think it was that good.
I think I saw it about a year ago, but I'm gonna give it a higher one, 8.4, because I did pay attention to it. I didn't have my phone out at all. I didn't do anything. I just looked at it, enjoyed it. And I think I do need to watch it again because there's probably stuff I missed and can't remember. But I just think it's good. It's well done. I'm a fan of James Gunn anyway. I'm a fan of this series anyway. And yeah, I mean, hopefully it will inspire what Marvel are doing to go, look, we can't be pumping out half-assed dog shit.
Yeah.
Which it might sound harsh, but I think that's what some of it they've been pumping out is, or just putting out too much. Look what James Gunn did with that. Spends years making something, years thinking about it, and then just going, right, now we're going to make a good film. You don't have to put out 15 films a year and TV shows. But I think it's just really good, and it's a really nice end to those characters who are some of the most unexpectedly good characters for years. Iron Man was obviously one, but with this lot, everyone looked at it coming up and I'm thinking, how are they going to do that? How are they going to have this weird big guy and a raccoon and a tree? Might be all right, but
I think that's what endeared me to it originally. It was just different. It wasn't, Chris Pratt's a guy that's in good shape and whatever, but he's not Thor, is he? He's not a guy. And because you're not there thinking this is a superhero. This is just a guy.
Yeah, they've not had this guy on steroids for 3 years before the shoot. He's just like he's just a regular guy.
He's done a bit, right? Because he's 40, so you can't look that good if you're 40 without doing a little bit. But he's done a little bit. But yeah, I think that's what endears me to these films so much. They're just a ragtag of misfits, right? And that's what makes them them, and it's a different thing and I think that's what hits with people is when you're sick of all the chiseled, amazing whatever. That's the opposite, and it looks.
Yeah, here's a raccoon with a gun and a tree.
Here's a raccoon who's smarter than you, funnier than you, and going to kill people more than you.
And they're all a little bit immoral as well. These characters, they're not. I mean, they're obviously nice in the end and stuff, but they're all a little bit shady. All of them. They're all a little bit of a shithouse in some ways as well, which is good. And it just keeps it a bit more real.
Plenty of shithouses.
Good stuff. So yeah, that's Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Go and see it. So it's 7.8 and 8.4, and I'll happily put those scores on, and this will be out. You are watching this on probably tonight or tomorrow, and you won't know what day that is, so it'll be here when you're here. But subscribe anyway. Please do that. We will be here a lot. We'll be putting out a lot of movies. I might be tempted to go and watch Fast and the Furious X 10, whatever it's called, and then we'll do an episode on that because I haven't seen any of the other 9, and Sam's seen them all, so that might be an interesting one to do. I'll be like, I don't know, what's this? And they go, well, you see, in 3 there was, you'll know all that detail. I don't know.
Well, maybe. I mean, when you've seen 9 of them, it gets a bit difficult to remember the.
I know that it's got the
Yeah,
actress in it, and she is good. But the first time I saw her was in Lost, and then she's in Avatar. It's you know what I mean?
Oh, Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez, basically the same character in absolutely everything, but does it well.
Yeah, she's Michelle Rodriguez doing Michelle Rodriguez.
Does it well?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, Vin Diesel's never been good at anything, right? And somehow he's still making a living. Don't get it. It's what it is. Well, how he's made a career, I'll never know. I'll never know. He has been so bad consistently for 20 years. He made one good movie, which was Pitch Black, but that had nothing to do with him. That was a great script.
Didn't he do stuff like Triple X and stuff? I never saw those.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Dreadful. Right. So there was the first one. Dreadful.
But it's this franchise then, isn't it? So he got in on this franchise, and it's like you're on this roller coaster now. You can.
So Vin Diesel said, "I don't want to be a franchise guy." So Vin Diesel did the first Fast and Furious, quit that, came out for 2 or 3 films. Went and did Triple X, said, "I'm not doing that. Thanks very much." Then the work dried up, right? The work dried up. So the sequel to Triple X went to Ice Cube, one of the worst movies of all time.
I remember there being a sequel. I didn't know if he was in it or not. So I didn't follow any of this Vin Diesel trajectory.
They did a third one, which was the return of Xander Cage, which, by the way, is a very early 2000s name that you would have for a superhero type agent.
Yeah, I remember the trailers. I didn't watch it.
Dreadful. One of the, again, probably worse than the second one. Then he comes back, Fast and Furious 4. We talked about this earlier. 4 and 5 were a good resurgence in the thing. Number 5 for me was actually a good heist movie. It was fun. It wasn't. I'm not going to say it was based in realism because it's not, but it wasn't absurd.
Yeah.
It then became a franchise of absolutely mental behavior.
So what is the one then? Was it 7? I think it might be 7 because I was at your place when you couldn't see, and then I saw it again on a clip recently. Vin Diesel, I think it's Vin Diesel, one of them, he's driving a car backwards and it's on fire and he's winning a race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most believable part of that movie as well.
Yeah, I can't. So, I just couldn't get into it.
There is just watch the opening half an hour of number 9 and tell me that it's not the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen.
Is it cars being parachuted out of planes and stuff, or was that in this trailer? I don't know.
It's so much worse than that. There's he's driving on a rope bridge that's just wide enough for his fucking muscle car that he's got. It's just honestly, and then he swings on the pendulum with this rope swing in a car.
I got to say though that I did really enjoy the trailer to 10 or X or whatever it's called. It was pretty cool. I sat back and thought, oh no, but when it started, I was like, actually, it's quite an entertaining trailer. This. So I don't know. Maybe it'll just not be as bad as 7, 8, 9.
So in the 9th one, just to give you a little hint as to how ridiculous it is, they did up a Golf Mark II, shot that into space.
Yeah.
If that isn't enough for you, Carl, to know how absurd that is,
why did they shoot in space?
They sent Ludacris and Tyrese into space.
To kill him?
Ludacris. No, they made it down fine.
Oh.
They didn't think they were going to make it, but they made it. All right. And they had to go and destroy a satellite. And don't you worry, they destroyed that satellite.
But I mean, obviously, people,
And they pinpointed that satellite and they found it. All right. So don't worry about it.
They had to do this in a Golf, did they?
Did it in the Golf, yeah. Don't worry about it.
So I mean, they're making
absurd.
They're making money though, and I don't know what the budgets are, but they're making hundreds of millions of dollars for each film. So I mean, obviously they've made 10 of them.
Every single one is more profitable than the last one.
That's the one. That's what you told me before. Furious 7 was 1.5 billion. Wow,
absurd.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absurd. It truly, truly is absurd. 7, though, if I remember correctly, was the last one with Paul Walker.
Right.
So that'll be why that made more money than the others, because it'll be and it looked like they were going to end it. It looked like they had this nice moment at the end. Vin and Paul, they've done this whole thing together. They drive off into separate lanes, and it looks like it's finally over. And then 8 comes out, and they ruin it all again.
They couldn't resist the money. They couldn't resist the cash. They were like,
"Oh, they couldn't resist
$1.5 billion.
$1.5 billion. There's no way that we're not making another one of these."
So even if they go back in and we make half that good, I'll take half. That's the studio's point.
I don't know, because the budgets are absurd now. I believe Fast and Furious 10 budget alone, because it's split into 2 movies, but I believe the first side of this split is $350 million.
Yeah, but that is how much that's the higher end of a big silly movie cost.
You've also got to remember the cast: Vin Diesel, Jason Momoa, Brie Larson, who's obviously the whatever now. All the people that were in it originally, so you got to pay them more money. Ludacris, John Cena, Jason Statham, Alan Ritchson, Scott Eastwood, Charlize Theron, Helen Mirren. Like it's absurd.
Yeah, but that's why it's so expensive, isn't it? Because I think the money for them is in that budget number.
Well, so Statham wants 15 million to turn up, right?
Yeah, and just to go bloody hell and then do some fighting. Although, as I said, I really enjoyed Operation Fortune. I thought it was a nice movie.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
When Statham doesn't have to do an accent, he's actually good. When he has to do an accent,
it's just Statham. You just want some fighting. You want some quips. You want some action.
I mean, but look at Snaps though, right? Great performance, great thing that was, and ever since then he's just done because.
And that's all because Guy Ritchie, because he looked a bit rough. He's like, oh, this weird diver guy. We'll put him in this low budget film, and then Hollywood were like, hang on, we'll have a bit of that.
And then he was in the Transporter, and all of a sudden he was an action star. And
I need to. There's a lot of those Statham films I haven't seen, like the Mechanic.
Have you not seen the Transporter?
I've seen bits. Did they make more than one of those?
They did, but the Transporter, the original one, which is Luc Besson, who's a very good action filmmaker, and very good at making driving car scenes as well. It's more like car scenes than it is. There's obviously loads of fight scenes as well, but it's a very good low budget action film. And like, I think
what's the one where he has to be charged up?
Oh, Crank.
So I saw a bit of one of them on telly a few months ago, and I enjoyed what I saw of it. I think I caught the last 20 minutes.
It's so bad it's good. It's like
that's what I mean.
It's enjoyable. It's like how what's his name? The guy that was in 300.
Butler.
Scottish fella. Gerard Butler. You know how he made that film called Game? I don't know if you ever saw that. It was almost meant to be so bad it was good, that it was actually so bad that it was just bad. Whereas Statham has this ability to make things that are so bad they're good. The Expendables, all these ridiculous action movies. He can make them.
I think he's perfect, and I'm glad we've got a British representative for the cheesy action stuff that Hollywood love. Yeah. I mean, for a while they flirted with Vinnie Jones, right? But obviously can only do so much. Although I did like his character in X-Men. He did a bit of an X-Men thing as well. But yeah, that run with Swordfish and what else did he do other than Swordfish after the Guy Ritchie stuff?
What, Vinnie Jones?
Yeah, did 4 or 5, right?
He did a movie called Midnight Meat Train, and he was the bad guy in it. And Bradley Cooper was just on the cusp of being a big star. Right. And Bradley Cooper was the guy that he was after in this thing, and you will like it. It's like a slasher, whatever, but it's a very well done, low budget kind of thing, and it's like one of those now that's a bit of a cult classic. But that was Vinny in the lead role, and
Vinny's got. Vinny's he's Gone in 60 Seconds, of course.
Yeah. That was the one.
The big one, Swordfish.
Mean Machine. He did Mean Machine, which is the remake of The Longest Yard.
I mean, he's got a massive credit list of TV shows and movies altogether. But yeah, I mean, he's still doing a lot of stuff now. Right, let's wrap up. Right, we're going to wrap up. I hope you enjoy it. Sam and Carl Talk Movies, Guardians of the Galaxy episode 3. Guardian Galaxy episode 3, subscribe and all that stuff. Share it. It's on audio as well. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever the audio thing is, it should be on there more or less. Follow it on there, leave us a review and all that, and subscribe and comment and all that. And it'll be very nice. And we'll just ramble about the film and then about other stuff, probably, if we got time. We'll see you soon for potentially, the next episode. But enjoy. That's been movies. That's been talking. That's been Sam. This has been Carl. All right.